My TED Talk is going to be about cannabis. Everybody knows what cannabis is. It is a psychoactive drug that can be used for medical or recreational purposes. The funny thing about this drug is that it is not legal in all 50 states. And to me, I feel like since we are the United States, I feel like we should all have the same point of view of marijuana being legal or illegal in states. And marijuana has several different names. It is also known as pot, weed, grass, Mary Jane, or cannabis or marijuana. And it can be used in different ways. The recreational purposes can be it can be rolled into joints, blunts, which is just wrapped in tobacco paper, and it can be also into bongs, which is water pipes or just the pipes. And and with the medical purposes, it can be brewed into tea, and it can be also cooked into what people call edibles, which are just where where's the marijuana oil is just really into cookies, brownies, or any edible food. And when people really think about drugs or marijuana, their mind goes straight into the drug abuse or just the word like drug. And so, with my TED Talk, I'm going to show a graph and explain what it also means. So, with this graph, as hopefully you can see how you can see this line. This line shows the states that agree that it is okay and that it is legal. You can see in back in 69, 70s, you can see that only at 12%, but you can see how it goes up and then it continues to increase to 64% in 2017. So it increased by 54%. Now, if you look at the red line, you can see those are the states that do not think it's okay, that it should be illegal, which is also why it's in red. And you can see how in also in the 1969 and 1970 it's at 84%. So a lot of states did not support the idea of it being legal. And it good like thank God it has decreased all the way to 34% of states still thinking it's illegal, and that's 2017. So that is a pretty jump because with all the technology and research we have, that it decrease that far. But in my opinion, I just feel like it should be zero and it should be illegal in all states because we have the technology and research and studies that show how it's very helpful to other medical problems. Now, um, like I said, I feel like it should be 0% because it helps with several health problems. And for instance, it helps majority with medical help, it helps with the chronic pain. And in this cannabis plant, it has things called cannabinoids, which I really hope I'm saying correctly, but it just has been linked to providing relief of the chronic pain due to the chemical makeup, which is why cannabis byproducts such as medical cannabis is commonly used for chronic pain. But there are several other reasons why people use it in the medical terms. It helps about cancer, helps with depression. It helps show promise in the autism treatment. It regulates seizures. Um, One of my friends' sister has, I forgot what it's called, but she has seizures all the time. And she has a medical card, because here in Georgia it is illegal. But if you have a medical card, it's completely okay. But she uses marijuana or cannabis to help regulate her seizures. But anyway, it helps the mend bones, helps with ADHD and ADD, and the treatment for glaucoma. It helps elevate people with anxiety, shows the development of Alzheimer's disease. It slows it down. It deals with pain linked with arthritis, and it helps with PTSD syndrome, PTSD symptoms for let's say the military or veteran soldiers, when they come back and they have that, it helps with them, helps them severely. And it really reduces the side effects linked to hepatitis C and just helps with alcoholism. Now, one thing that often surprises people is help with your lung capacity. People are shocked with this one because when they think about marijuana, their mind goes almost straight to think smoking and inhaling it, and then straight to ruining your lungs, which isn't the case. So it's not the best for your lungs, so it's not. It does have some effects onto your lungs, but just not as big as what people think. There has been several studies showing the effects of cannabis and like the good effects and the good benefits. So unlike smoking cigarettes, when smoking cannabis in the form of cannabis, your lungs aren't harmed. In fact, the study found that cannabis actually helps increase the capacity of lung rather than any harm to it. Going further into this research, the research gives out the information that marijuana does not impair your lung function, at least not in the doses inhaled from the majority of users, the marijuana smokers. So, according to the largest and longest study ever to consider this issue, which was published today in the Journal of the American Medical Associates, researchers working on this long-term study of risk factors for the cardiovascular disease tested in the lung function of 5,115 young adults over the course of 20 years, starting back to 1985 when they were aged 18 to 30. They found that marijuana that was almost as common as cigarette smoking. But in this sample, they found that the marijuana users only smoked 2 to 3 times a month, while the average tobacco user smoked 8 cigarettes a day. Now, while the tobacco users show the expected drop in lung function over time, the new research found that the marijuana smoked had unexpectedly and apparently a positive effects. So the low and moderate users actually showed increasing lung capacity compared to the non-smokers. Now there are two tests that this study should use. They use the FEV study, which is the amount of air inhaled when somebody breathes out the first smoke after taking the deepest breath possible, and also the FVC, which is the total amount of air exhaled after the deepest inhalation. Now, the authors conclude that the marijuana may have beneficial effects on pain control, but it also helps with appetite, your mood, the management of other chronic pain symptoms. But their study was on people who smoke marijuana, very small amounts of it, not very huge amounts of it. Now, moving away from the benefits of cannabis, we're going to move into the death rate of marijuana. Now, when people think marijuana, they try to give you the worst parts of it. But I want to explain and show you how the death rate is severely low when smoking marijuana. But the only deaths that have been known to killing anybody is the activities they have done while high, what they have done doing it. So, a study conducted in California involving 65,177 men and women aged 15 to 49 years found that 10 years after smoking marijuana, the users had died no sooner than the non-smokers had died. Another study has also they've looked into 45,450 Swedish Army conscripts aged 18 to 20 and found that after 15 years, both the users and non-users had a similar time lifespan. Now, there are several studies about marijuana and their risk of killing you. So, for another study was in 1988 with the DEA that marijuana users will have to consume 20,000 to 40,000 times the amount of THC in a joint, even to have the risk of dying. Now, there are several studies, so I'm gonna continue to show you several more studies. Tell you several more. So there's even a study in 2009 that American scientists he studied the relative toxicity of the recreational drugs and how and like what you would have to do to actually have a risk of dying. So you would have to use more than 1,000 times the effective drug dose of marijuana in order for it even to be potentially fatal, which is not even a certain death, really. Now, the one thing that all of these studies that I have told you about is that they do not die anytime sooner than non-smokers have. And the only way you could pass away is, like I said, the activities you do while engaged in the high, or if your marijuana or cannabis was laced with a different chemical drug. Um, there has been one or two known deaths of people dying from marijuana, but it was a 23-year-old and a 28-year-old. The 23-year-old has serious undetected heart problems, suggesting people with the cardiovascular issues they should be aware of the marijuana risks when they are engaging into it. The other old man was 28 years old, and he had a history of alcohol and drug abuse. Now, with all of this being said, I really hope that your point of view on the cannabis and why it should be legal in all 50 states, or just your opinion on marijuana, could be changed by this, because I think marijuana should be legal in all 50 states because it helps with people with medical problems. It can even help your family, but you won't be able to have help in your state because it is illegal. So I hope I can change your mind on that.